Welcome back to Eutropius. So we're looking at our 8th reading. This is a little bit later in book 6. So the previous reading was chapter 12. We've kind of fast forwarded a little bit. We are at chapter 17. So what Eutropius has done here is he's basically taken Caesar's Gallic Wars and condensed it down to one paragraph, because that's the whole idea here, is that it's a really, really brief summary of Roman history. So we'll jump right in here. Anno urbis conditae. This expression we have seen before. So it comes in a couple of different varieties, but here we've got the in the year of the founded city. So we would normally say from the founding of the city. And which year is it? It is the sexcentesimo nonagesimo tertio. Gaius Julius Caesar, his full name. We have this qui here, a relative clause, giving me more information about Caesar, of course. Poste as an adverb. We have our relative clause verb here is imperavit. Cum, this is with cum. I can tell because Lectio, which is abbreviated, but bibulo, right? Consul. And it's est factus, but you could just as easily see this as factus est. So that's third singular perfect passive. Okay. So in the sexcentesimo nonagesimo tertio, in the 693rd year, I would always just say from the founding of the city. There are a couple different, in the 693rd year of the founded city, whatever floats your boat. We got our boy Gaius Julius Caesar, qui, who, postea imperavit, literally who commanded later, who ruled afterwards, cum Lucio bibulo consul est factus. Consul factus est. So you could say was made consul, or if you think of this as a form of fio, became consul. With a guy named Bibulus, and I don't think his first name was actually Lucius. I think that this is a typo, in the sense that I don't think Eutropius got it right. I'm pretty sure his name was not Lucius. I don't think Bibulus' first name was Lucius. I'll have to look that up, but that's what Eutropius gives us. So it's about 400 years later, at least 400 years later. So these things happen, right? Yep. Okay, pretty straightforward there. It feels like a long sentence, but it's that big, long number there for the year. So in the 693rd year from the founding of the city, Gaius Julius Caesar, who later ruled, became consul with Bibulus. Decreta est, so we've seen that verb before. Decreta est, it was decreed, ei, to him. Gallia et Illyricum, those are provinces. Cum here is another ablative, cum legionibus decem. So this is a little bit of historical information. Once somebody has become consul, and I think they touched on this in the video that we watched in class, you're not supposed to be consul again for at least, I believe it's 10 years. And that's so that you don't have this idea of somebody holding on to power and gaining too much of it. So what you were aiming for after your consulship is you wanted to be given a governorship, essentially, of a province. And you wanted a good province so that you could go there and you could, essentially make money. I know it's terrible, but... And the province that he really, really wanted was Gaul. Because after he served as consul, he had all intentions of going to Gaul and conquering even further. So when we say that Gaul was decreed to him, the idea here is that the governorship of Gaul. So Gaul was... given, I don't even know, was I'll just put it in parentheses here. The governorship of, because it's not the province that was given to him, was decreed to him et Illyricum, and also Illyricum, which he wasn't as concerned about, with 10 legions. Cum legionibus decem. Decem there being indeclinable. So Caesar's on his way. He's got everything he needs. He's got his army, and he's got provinces that he can use as a starting point to go and conquer even more land. And if you read any Caesar last year, this is how it begins. So the very first book of Caesar's Gallic Wars, is primum, he first vicit Helvetios. He first defeated the Helvetians. Now, if you know what Helvetia is, Helvetica, all those words are related. They're all related to Switzerland, the modern country of Switzerland. So if you go across the Alps into what the Romans called Transalpine Gaul, so Cisalpine Gaul is on the same side. Transalpine Gaul, you're into what would now be Switzerland. And so that's where he starts his conquests. So he first conquered the Helvetians, qui, another relative clause, qui nunc sequani appellantur, so third singular present passive, appello to call. So he defeated the Helvetians, who are now called, predicate nominative, the Sequani. I don't know if that's where the word Swiss came from, but... so he first conquered the Helvetians, deinde, and then vincendo, hey, it's a gerund, vincendo per bella gravissima, usque ad oceanum Britannicum, what's up? Processit. Third singular and perfect, as always. So again, it feels like a long sentence, but it's really just a couple of prep phrases, right? That's right. Per bella gravissima, through very serious wars, usque ad oceanum Britannicum, all the way to the British Ocean, what we would call the English Channel, processit. He proceeded. He went forth. And we can't leave out this little word here, vincendo. He first defeated the Helvetians, then he proceeded all the way to the English Channel. How did he do it? Vincendo. By conquering through when the Romans talk about a war being serious, that typically means bloody, right? So when we talk about grave wars, we mean wars that probably had a lot of casualties. So he first defeated the Helvetians, qui nunc sequani, who are now called the Sequani, and then vincendo, by conquering through very serious wars. That preposition could be a little bit different in English if you wanted to. He conquered by conquering in very serious wars. He proceeded all the way to the British Ocean, all the way to the English Channel. And if you know your European geography, which we'll pull up right now, that basically means that he comes across the Alps, right around here, into what is now Switzerland, and he goes all the way across France, all the way to the water, to the English Channel. Okay. Pretty far away from Rome, so that's quite a conquest, and it took him about 8 or 9 years to do it. Domuit, what a verb to use. Third singular perfect. Domo means to tame, which you would really only use in, like animal situations, taming an animal, but he uses it here probably on purpose autem, there's that stupid word we don't care about. Anis noem, again, this is one of those situations where I would expect it to be accusative, but we get an ablative here. So, moreover, I hate that word. I'm just going to ignore autem. Yo! Fere anis noem. Within, maybe? Yeah, we'll go with within. Within almost 9 years. I'm just going to say in. In almost 9 years, in a span of almost 9 years, domuit, he tamed omnem Galliam. He tamed all of Gaul. And again here, I think that using the word tame is on purpose. The idea is that the Gallic tribes were wild. They were almost like animals. And so he tamed them. He tamed all of Gaul, quae, which, right? So Gaul here is my direct object. He tamed all of Gaul. Then the relative clause starts with the nominative. So it's going to be the subject. Quae inter Alpes. Inter, preposition, takes the accusative. Flumen Rhodanum, also accusative. Rhenum et Oceanum. So all of Gaul, which est, right, there's our verb, which is inter, between the Alps. The Rhodanus is the Rhone River. The Rhenum is the Rhine River. And the, I'm going to put it in quotes, ocean. Right? The sea. And let's go back here to our, probably have to zoom a little bit more to get to the, let's see where the Rhine is. Oh, will it actually show it to me? Maybe not, maybe not. Ooh, what a lovely area. Look at that. Ooh, fun castles. I'm getting distracted here. And basically, you're talking about the Alps here. The Rhone is a river in Germany. Okay. So you're basically this whole area. So a little bit of Germany, not all of Germany, but kind of scooped a little bit of it. Definitely all of Belgium, and pretty much most of France, right? The Rhone is down this way. So a big old area. That's what he conquered. So all of Gaul, which is between the Alps, the Rhone, the Rhine, the water, et circuitu patet. Patet means to lie, in a sense of, so we're still talking about Gaul, which is between the Alps and all those rivers, and lies in a circle. Okay. So the idea is that, you know, it's a area bounded by all of those geographical, you know, borders, rivers and mountains and all that stuff. And it lies in a circle ad bis et tricies. So that's 2, that's 30, and that's 100. So bis et tricies, these two together make 32. So you really have 3,200 milia passuum. So milia passuum is miles, like distance, Roman miles. So it lies in a circle. Odd here. The circle is of a certain length. It's really hard to translate this into English. But basically it lies in a circle that was 3,200 miles. So bis et tricies means 32 times centena, which is 100. So it's about 3,200 miles, and I'll put Roman in parentheses here because Roman miles are a little bit shorter than our modern day mile, so it's not quite 3,200 modern day miles. If you are a geographical expert, I don't want you to, think I'm lying to you. Okay. So a big old area in about 9 years for one man and his army to conquer. Britannis could be ablative, could be dative, but this verb infero means to bring bellum, to bring war to a certain group of people. So when you see bellum infera, it usually has a dative nearby. So he, Caesar, right? He brought war. We don't really bring war to people. You bring war on them. Wage war on them. He brought war soon. Let's get Mox in there. Soon. He brought war to the Britons. He brought war on the... and I think they're technically called the Britons when they're the people. I'll just say the British. Well, they're not really British. The people of Britannia. I'm just going to hedge my bets here. Quibus. So we got a relative clause starting with one of those weird cases. Ante eum, before him. Nequita means not even. And the word that goes in the middle is the word that you're emphasizing. So not even the name of the Romans was known quibus to them. So this is going to be dative here. So ne nomen, that's your subject. The name of the Romans. Nomen Romanorum. So he brought war to the people of Britannia, to whom, before him, not even the name of the Romans was known. So kind of parsing that out to what in the world does he mean, what he's saying is when he brought war onto this island, they'd never even heard of Rome. That just tells you how isolated the British were. If you ever try to sail up to the island of Britain, it's not like landing on the beaches in Normandy. It's basically giant rock cliffs. So it's very difficult to get onto the island of Britain, especially if you're an invader. So what Caesar actually does at first is he circles around the island trying to find a good place to land, and he actually doesn't really find much. So it's a pretty isolated place. There's not a lot of in and out. So when the Romans show up, these people have never even heard of Rome. They're that far removed. And that's what it's saying here. He brought war to these people to whom even the name of the Romans was unknown before him. Queos, right, is like eosque, so and them conquered folks. Obsidibus acceptis, it's not at the beginning, but we have an ablative absolute here. Stipendiarios, which I had to look up. I'd never seen this word before. And then we have our verb. Que, so and. Fecit eos, he made them being the victos. So he made the conquered people. He made them stipendiarios. He made them the kinds of people who have to pay tribute. So we could say he made them tribute payers, or he made the conquered people pay tribute. I think it's probably an easier way to do that in English. And then we have the ablative absolute. After obsides are hostages, right? So after hostages were taken. And this sounds like a, like a criminal situation, but this is how negotiations would happen. Either side would offer up hostages. And the only reason you do that is not because you're trying to ransom them back. It's just that we'll have much smoother negotiations if you have some of my important people and I have some of your important people. It just keeps the negotiation going a little bit. So after hostages were taken is basically like saying after there were negotiations. So after there were negotiations, he made them being the conquered Britons, he made them pay tribute. So it's not that it really became a colony at this point. It was just that those people had to pay tribute to Rome, which was a really nice way of the Romans saying, we'll destroy you, or you can pay us a little money and we'll let you live. The ancient world was a rough place. Galliae, which could be a couple different forms here, but I see imperavit coming later, and I know that impero takes the dative, so I'm going to think that for Galliae. Autem, my least favorite word. Tributi, that's genitive. Nomine, that's in the ablative. Annuum, not annum, but annuum. That is accusative. We have our verb here, imperavit, and then we have stipendium. Quadringenties. So that's going with this here. So, kind of weird word order in this section, but basically, imperavit Galliae. Right? That's at the heart of it, is that he commanded Gaul nomine tributi, in the name of tribute. He commanded them an annual stipend, meaning he commanded them to pay an annual fee. So he commanded Gaul to pay an annual tribute. I don't want to use tribute twice. An annual stipend. Sure. It's a word we use in English. And it's quadringenties, which technically I think means 400. But I looked this up, and apparently it's 40,000 sesterces, I believe it was. Which is a good chunk of money. That's a good chunk of money. Germanosque, trans, right, preposition, takes the accusative. Trans Rhenum, that's the Rhine River. We have a participle here. In manissimis proeliis. Now we had nocturno proelio one time. We had this kind of this similar structure here. But this time it is in manissimis proeliis. So Caesar, he's our subject. Vicit, he defeated the Germans. He conquered the Germans, defeated the Germans. Trans Rhenum aggrassus. So aggrassus means to go towards. It can also mean to attack, right? So here we have a participial phrase here, having attacked or having gone across the Rhine, having gone across, my spelling, having gone across the Rhine, he defeated the Germans in very huge battles. So again, long sentence, but cut it in half, right? The first part here is about how he commanded Gaul to pay tribute. It's an annual annuum stipendium, an annual 40,000 sesterces punishment in the name of tribute. He called it tribute, basically. And then the Germans, after he went across the Rhine, he defeated them in these very big battles. I love this part. I always do that when I write preposition. Inter tot successus. So that's the noun success. So inter tot successus. Among so many successes, ter, which is 3 times, male pugnavit. And I didn't know that this is how they would say it because I just have never thought about it, but it literally says he fought poorly 3 times, which is the Roman way of saying he was defeated. Right? He fought bad. He fought badly 3 times. He lost 3 times. Apud Avernos, which is another tribe, the Averni. Semmel Praesanes. Et Absanes. In Germania. Bis. So Semmel means once, bis means twice. So those are our 3 right there. Praesanes means he was there. Absanes means that he wasn't there. So these 3 defeats, Semmel, one of them, apud Averni. So he fought badly 3 times. Once against the Averni, Praesanes, when he was there. Bis in Germania, twice in Germany. Absanes, when he was absent, when he was not there. And I am not the biggest history buff to know exactly what those battles were called. I think one of them was like Diriacum, and I can't remember. But basically, Caesar is defeated 3 times. Once against the Averni when he was actually there, which is pretty embarrassing, and twice in Germany when he wasn't. So obviously he had his commanders. And we're going to see who they were. Nam, because these are his 2 defeats, I believe. Legati eius, so his lieutenants, his 2 lieutenants, Titurius et Aurunculeius, the orange one. Ooh, interesting. Per insidias, and insidias is an ambush. Caesi sunt, 3rd plural, perfect passive. So he fought twice. He lost twice in Germany when he wasn't there, because his 2, I can never spell this word right, lieutenants, Titurius and Aurunculeius, caesi sunt, literally they were cut down. Cut down per insidias, in ambushes, I think. Yeah. So each one was defeated in an ambush. Okay. Obviously, Caesar writes 8 full books of this stuff, and this is a giant summary down to 1 paragraph, but that's basically the gist of it, is that he starts with Switzerland, he makes his way north, he goes all the way up to the sea, then he sends a scouting mission over to Britain, and he has a couple skirmishes with them, and then he sets his sights on Germany, and he starts expanding sort of to the northeast, and then eventually he is going to return to Rome. However, he's going to return with his army, and this is going to be the next civil war. All right, people, have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow for the quiz.